don't get nervous, okay? This is just you and him.
Hello, everyone. I'm Dr. Sparks, and this is Typewriter Stories, the first chapter in an amazing day of Saturday morning making. Let's get right to it.
I know a place that's really cool. It's up higher than any school. Grab a jetpack and some fuel, 'cause we're going up high, high in the sky. Come on up for a ride with your good friends at your side. Imagination is your guide, 'cause it's Dr. Sparks' science story typewriting time.
Hello, everyone, and welcome. I'm Dr. Sparks, and this is Typewriter Stories. Every day of the week, and on Saturdays as well, I use my typewriter and the help of a guest to come up with a series of incredible stories. And then these stories are illustrated on the fly by Cecilia Olivera-Hillway, an immensely talented illustrator. Now, I am right now working with two guests, Megan and her sister Sarah. And Megan has given me an incredible, sprawling story about a blanket and a quilt. Now, Megan said she wanted the story to start with a pink blanket named Meg, right? And Megan, what was the power of this blanket? What could she do?
She could shape-shift. Shape-shift.
A shape-shifting pink blanket. So who lived where?
In the land of clouds.
In the land of clouds. Now, everything in the land of clouds was a paradise. The blankets that lived there loved each other. They tied each other into knots. Not all of them could shape-shift like Meg, but of course they were blankets, so they had a little bit of flexibility to their forms. Everything was great there, except there was one wet blanket. Not literally. The wet blanket can also mean somebody that's kind of a jerk. And this jerk's name was Zeus. He was a quilt. And this is what he said. And do you remember the voice that he speaks in? You ready? All right. Zeus is a quilt, a wet blanket quilt, and he speaks like a quilt does. He said, I am going to make it illegal. I'm going to take over the world and make it illegal to not be my friend, said Zeus. And what did he do? How is he going to execute his plan? Megan, what was he saying?
What did he say?
How did he take over the world?
How did he try to take over the world?
Did he get his army of stitches?
Right.
He led an army of stitches and he bundled up the blankets like nobody's business. In no time at all, he seemed to take over the world. And he instituted those laws that made everybody have to be his friend. Except we had a hero, or a heroine in this case. Her name was Meg, the shape-shifting pink blanket. And she took the form of the friend of Zeus. She pretended to be his friend. And Zeus was so confused about the nature of friendship. Remember, he thought that you could make it illegal to not be his friend. So what he did was he thought that she was his friend, and he let her out of jail. Now, Megan worked quickly, and she quickly overthrew Zeus. She led the other blankets in a glorious charge. They strove, they fought, and at last they overthrew Zeus. The other blankets all wanted to send him back to space, to banish him to space, so that he couldn't bother them anymore. But Megan said, in her blanket voice, I pity this blanket. Is that her voice, or does she sound different, Megan, do you think?
Do you think she sounds that way or different?
I think she sounds that way.
That way? And what do you think? Does she say I pity this blanket? What does she say? Can you talk as her?
Sure. The blanket. What did she say to Zeus? What did she say to Zeus, his friend? Huh? Did she say, oh, I'm so sorry?
So I think that the blanket says, I pity this quilt. He doesn't know what friendship is. He thinks you can make laws to make friends. And those are two very different things. Ask any legislator, truly. No, we need to give this quilt a second chance. And maybe then he'll learn the true nature of friendship. And here's where we are at the end here. So the quilt had to learn what friendship was, and learn he did. 1,000 kind gestures later, and Zeus got those friends he had wanted so badly. Well, misspelled so badly. And all without passing a single law. And that is the end. Now, Megan, this story needs a title. And to pick this title, I think you've really got to look at the illustration that Cecilia Olivera-Hillway came up with to go with this story. Let's check in. Cecilia, what have you drawn here? Tell us about this.
So this is the quilt and the blanket, and they're meeting up. He's still like angry, and you have the clouds from the Cloud City behind them.
It's perfect. Megan, what do we title a story like this? It's such a good story, and it's your story. So you got to tell me, what do we put on the top of this story?
Meg's Return.
Meg's Return. What a perfect title. Now, the next part is I'm actually going to mail this story to you. So what I've got is a little stamper right here. I'm going to stamp it with a number. This is my 1953rd story. I'm going to fold it up into thirds. I'm going to put it into an envelope. And I'm going to put a stamp on the envelope, a moon stamp. Put it in our mailbox. Raise the flag. And then what happens next, well, everybody knows. The mail falls out of the sky into the mail truck. Junk. The mail truck turns on. And the mail truck will carry the letter all the way to you. Now, each week, each day on these typewriter stories, we pick a word of the day to go with the stories that we're writing that day. And Megan, if you can find a way to incorporate the word of the day into your next story, that would be awesome. Give you extra bonus points. If it doesn't happen, no problems. But the word of the day today is strive. And what I like about the word strive is it's a verb. It's an active thing. You're not standing victorious. You haven't already won. You're in the process of winning. You're working really hard for something you believe in. You're putting everything you have into accomplishing something worthwhile. You are striving. And I think in the story you just wrote, we could have used that word a bunch of times. At first, Zeus was striving to get friends. It was something he cared passionately about, and he would do anything to get those friends he felt he deserved. And then Meg, she strove to save the people that she loved, the town that she loved, and the clouds there. And she won, she succeeded. And in the end, the two of them reached some sort of compromise and were able to accomplish both of their goals. But only by striving were they able to reach that new place. Strive. It's such a wonderful verb of a word. Now, one more thing before we get to your second story, Megan. And I'd like you to write a second story if you feel up to it. But each week, each day, we pick a riddle. And for those of you who are watching at home, this is your opportunity to shine. So if you're watching on YouTube or on Facebook, if you can answer this riddle, something crazy is going to happen to me right here in the studio. And here's the riddle that I have for you. I smell really good. That's kind of my thing. Be careful with frostbite because I can get froze. An oven with brownies will cause me to sing. You ask who I am? Who knows? I knows. All right, so if you leave your answer to that riddle in the comments and you get it correct, something crazy is going to happen, so please do that. Now, Megan, let's get back to it. What's story number 2 going to be? And Sarah, maybe do you want to help us maybe? Come up with maybe the start here? Or
Yeah.
Megan, you had some ideas for stories, right? What do you think this next one should be?
The next one be with Meg and Zeus.
Well, when Meg and Zeus are friends now, and Ray Bear is gonna come in, one of my other stuffed animals.
That's awesome. Okay, let's continue the other story. We'll make a sequel this time, so it'll be a continuation. So Meg and Zeus are friends. The quilt and the blanket get along now. And who wouldn't? They've been through a lot together. They wrestled for control of the world there for a little while. That can sometimes really bring people together. And so there's another stuffed animal now, Ray-Ban? What was his name?
Ray Bear.
Ray Bear.
Ray Bear. Is Ray Bear a bear?
Mm-hmm.
What kind of bear is he?
What's she dressed like?
She's dressed like Ray from Star Wars.
Oh, that's awesome. So a little Jedi bear. Okay. She have a little lightsaber? Or are I don't know. Are bear Jedi? Do they have like lightsaber fangs or something? That'd be pretty cool. I don't know. Probably very cuddly, though. I'm sure that's not particularly cuddly. All right, so we've got Ray Bear. So Meg and Zeus were friends after having wrestled for control of the world. From each other. And one day, they met a bear named Ray Bear. Okay. And so what do you think happens? Is Ray Bear a friend, or is Ray Bear somebody else that's got ideas about how the Cloud City should be built?
Well, Ray Bear's not friends at first.
Okay.
Kind of
Ray Bear is, and Ray Bear did not want to be friends with the two, what do you call, like, quilt and a blanket? Those are both examples of what? I guess a quilt's kind of like a type of blanket, with the two blankets, we'll say. Two blankets, do you think that the two blankets try everything they can think of to make Ray Bear their friend?
Well, no.
What do you think they do here? Do they, does Ray Bear want to be their friend? Why aren't they friends?
Because she lived in space too, because there was another land of clouds across the world of bears, and bears lived on that cloud. And she was also kind of a trickster. And it's kind of like Zeus, and then they went up to space together at the same time, and then they became friends. And then Zeus came back down to live in the Cloudlands, and Ray Bear got mad.
That makes sense to me. Makes perfect sense. So Zeus goes away. So there's two cloud worlds here. What we really have is like a people divided. We've got a cloud world of blankets, and we've got a cloud world of bears. And the blankets have their own problems and concerns. The blankets have their own tricksters and heroes, and the bears have their own tricksters and heroes. Ray Bear happens to be the trickster of the moment, the trickster du jour over on the bear cloud world. And Zeus is the trickster of the blanket world. Now, one day they meet, and I don't know if you've ever witnessed two tricksters getting together. You'd think they would get along, but they don't. They each want to be the center of attention, and there can only be one center of attention. So even though Zeus had, changed his ways in that last story a little bit, had learned how to make friends, whenever this bear, Ray Bear, came from far away, traveling, causing tricks in the cloud world, the two of them got into it right away, and they were not friends. So then, do you think that Meg once again intervenes and somehow brings these two together?
Yes.
I'm thinking that maybe what she does is she convinces the two of them to be friends, and then it totally backfires. Zeus backslides and once again becomes a terrible, nightmarish trickster quilt. And now Ray Bear and Zeus, they fly through the air. And I'm picturing here that, like, you've got a bear that's using like the wings, the quilt as wings, and they soar through the air and they terrorize everybody that they see. They coat apples in caramel, which is great, right? But then they also do it with onions. And nobody can tell if they bite into a caramel apple if it's going to be a caramel onion. And then they take all the labels off of cans so that you never know whenever you start opening them up whether it's going to be canned corn, or it's going to be refried beans, or it's going to be something good like those French-style, no-salt-added giant evil green beans that I'm personally a big fan of. But, They're just causing tricks all over the place, and that's where we leave them. They soar off into the sunset, which in the world of clouds, maybe it's the cloud set? I don't know. What do you think? Does that sound reasonable? Is that where we're going with this story?
Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Okay, Ray Bear did not want to be friends with the two blankets. Ray Bear was used to being the center of attention and did not want to share the limelight. Have you ever heard that expression before? Share the limelight?
Have you heard of it?
No.
Limelight's kind of like a spotlight. It's kind of an older term for the spotlight. So he didn't want to share the spotlight. He wanted to be the center of attention, be the one that everybody was looking at on that stage, and did not want to share the limelight. Meg worked hard to get Zeus and Ray Bear to be friends. Oh, that's not how you spell friends. Oh, well, friends. And it worked. In fact, it worked too well. And Zeus backslid and became a trickster again. Now, across the whole universe of cloud planets, across the whole universe of cloud worlds, from cloud blanket world to cloud swamp world to from what's another cloud world? So we've got cloud blanket world. I just added cloud swamp world. We've got cloud bear world. I feel like we need 2 or 3 more cloud worlds. We could have cloud cabinet world, cloud jacuzzi world, cloud mouse world. What are you thinking? Anything you want. We got space for total random stuff here.
What do you think? Hot tub world?
Cloud poodle world.
Cloud poodle world! It's raining poodles! Or are these flying poodles, or do they just fall from the sky in the trampoline world?
Do they fly?
What's that?
No, the poodles don't fly.
Okay, they just fall out of the sky. But thankfully, it's a trampoline world that they're bouncing on. They bounce right back up.
Wait.
From cloud poodle world to, and I need one more, cloud poodle world to cloud computing world.
Computer world? Computer world?
Computer world.
Cloud computer world. From cloud poodle world to cloud computer world and back to cloud bear world. There, they were all of them. They were all of them terrorized by the trickster. Oops, that's not trickster. Trickster bear and the trickster blanket, who soared everywhere, causing pranks and mischief and strife wherever they went. What do you think? Is that the end of our story here? Actually, let's look at what Cecilia's been drawing for this story first and see what she's got.
Just like my Ray Bear.
It's like a magic carpet. That's amazing. A magic quilt.
So I'm thinking in the background, I'll do some clouds with different things. I'll make a little poodle here and maybe a computer and then a different cloud just to allude to the other worlds.
Oh, that is wonderful. That is so fun. Okay. So this is the end of the story, I think. The end, but it needs a title. So Megan, can I read you back the whole story one more time? And you can help me do the voices, please, whenever we have them talking. And then you can decide on what the title should be, and I'll add it to the top. How does that sound?
You good?
You ready for this? All right. Unnamed story. Sequel to Meg and Zeus the blankets. Meg and Zeus were now friends, having, in our last story, wrestled for control of the cloud world of blankets where they lived. They wrestled back and forth, and at the end of their striving, they were friends again. Now, one day, out of the sky came Ray Bear, who was a bear from a world of cloud bears. And Ray Bear was a trickster in the way that Zeus had been a quilt trickster in the world of blanket clouds. Now, you would think that two tricksters would get along well, but they didn't, not at first. They were totally at each other's throats. They didn't want to share the limelight. They didn't want to not be the one that was doing all of the troublemaking at the time. Now, Meg was always a peacemaker. She always tried to bring people together. And she said, you two really need, how would she say you two need to be friends? Megan, how would she say that? What's her voice sound like?
Go ahead. What's your voice sound like? You two need to be friends.
We two need to be friends.
And what do you think she might say? How would she convince them? Like, why do they need to be friends?
What do you think?
Because
She could talk broadly about like how friendship is just important in this world. The world is better if there are more friends, which I think is true. I mean, the more friends there are, the more people that are friends with each other, the safer and better and happier the world is. Is that a fair thing? Or does she have a more specific, more concrete reason? You two should be friends because you would get along so well. You two are the same. Ultimately, you got the same blanket soul. You got the same thread at your 400 thread count souls. You're both stuffed. Quilts are stuffed. Bears are stuffed. That's it. You two, you both need to get along. You have stuffing at your hearts. You are stuffed hearts and you're tricksters. And it doesn't make any sense at all to me that you would not be friends, said Meg, the blanket. And it worked. It worked. She was able to convince the quilt and the bear to become friends, but it worked too well. Individually, both of them were tricksters. They caused trouble, but together, they were a team. They were a team of tricksters. A Bonnie and Clyde, a Bert and Ernie, but tricksters instead of just being random dudes in apartments. They soared through the multiverse of cloud worlds. They went to Cloud Poodle World, and they tied knots in all the poodles' hair. They went to Cloud Compute World, and they hacked AWS, and they released the API keys out into the world because they want to be free and use them to mine Bitcoin. They went to the Cloud Trickster Blanket World. What is this? The Cloud Swamp World, and they drained the swamp. But by draining the swamp, they made other swamps swampier, and the net result was no change in the swampiness. And then they finally went to back to Cloud Bear World. Now, these tricksters together, they caused so much trouble. They strove to cause strife wherever they went, and they strove and they strove and they succeeded in causing strife to happen wherever they went, using two different meanings of the word strife. Now that is the end of our story, and Cecilia has made it an incredible illustration. But, Megan, the last step is up to you. What is the title of this story? What do we add to the top?
What do you think?
Meg's Doom.
Meg's Doom! And I'll tell you what, Megan, I have something this typewriter can actually type in red ink if I hit a special lever. So I'm going to type Doom in red ink. How does that sound? Okay, let's do it. Okay, Meg's, switching to red, Doom. All right, so now I'm going to take the letter out, and I'm going to stamp it, and I'm going to send it off to you in the same way that I did the other one. 1954. I'll add it to this one as well. And this time I'll actually write your name on the front. And I'll add it to our envelope. And the flag's already up. Chunk. to you. Now, somebody actually managed to answer, or they have an answer to the riddle. I don't want to speak too soon, because Megan, you're the arbiter here of whether the answer is correct. Kelsey thinks that the answer to the riddle, well, let me read the riddle one more time, and we'll see if she's got the right answer. Kelsey on Facebook has an answer. I smell really good. That's kind of my thing. Be careful with frostbite, because I can get froze. An oven with brownies will cause me to sing. You ask who I am? Who knows? I knows. Kelsey thinks the answer to the riddle is a nose. Is that right, Megan?
Yes.
Oh, you know what that means? Oh, man! Oh, man! Bananas! Well, great job, Kelsey, answering that riddle. That was incredible. Now, that's actually the end of our show today, Megan. Thank you so much for writing this incredible story. You were amazing. You had I loved your blanket story, shape-shifting pink blanket named Meg. Megan is an incredible storyteller. She came to us with all of these ideas, and they were perfect. Zeus, the wet blanket to the quilt. Amazing. You did such a good job. Thank you, Kelsey, for answering the riddle. Now, if you are watching at home, don't go anywhere, because we're going to be having a variety of fun things happening for the next several hours. Up next, we have The Buzz with Adam and Harv. It's a combination. We've got a cartoon character and a guy, and they're going to tell you all about bugs. And if that doesn't sound cool to you, you are insane, because it really is very cool. We're going to have Dave English, and we're going to have some music happening, and it's going to be just amazing. Dave's going to be making some crazy things out of clay. And is it Misfit Children, or what is it? Middle Child is going to be playing some electronica music that is awesome. I've heard it before. I couldn't remember the name of it, but it is very good music. I do remember how it sounds. And then later on, we're going to have Code Joy, who is actually going to be teaching you how to code some pretty fun robots and do a little mini golf course. If that sounds interesting, stick around. If you enjoy Dr. Sparks specifically, you can go to drsparks.com or drsparksshow.com. Both will take you to the same place right now. And you can sign up to be part of a future episode, or you can learn more about what we do. And always tune into our daily stream at 4 p.m. Monday to Friday, and here on Saturday at 11 o'clock. I'm Dr. Sparks. This is Typewriter Stories. Cecilia Olivera-Hillway is our incredibly talented illustrator. She's amazing. Look at those quilts. Look at that poodle. Look at that blanket. Look at those eyeballs. We had Megan and Sarah in the background who came up with these amazing stories. Until next time, guys, I am Dr. Sparks. It has been my pleasure to write stories with you. Make sure that you keep your typewriters oiled and your fingers limber. And I will see you next time.